You see that?
Okay.
Jacob's final 17 years? Yeah.
Just have to, there we are. Jacob lives the final 17 years of his life in Egypt. Before his passing, he asks Joseph to take an oath that he will bury him in the Holy Land. He blesses Joseph's two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, elevating them to the status of his own sons as progenitors of tribes within the nation of Israel. The patriarch desires to reveal the end of days to his children, but is prevented from doing so. Jacob blesses his sons, assigning to each...
Sorry, it's gone funny. It's back. Is it back?
Make it larger again.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Jacob blesses his sons, assigning to each his role as a tribe. Judah will produce leaders, legislators, and kings. Priests will come from Levi, scholars from Issachar, seafarers from Zebulun, school teachers from Simeon, soldiers from Gad, judges from Dan, olive growers from Asher, and so on. Reuben is rebuked for confusing his father's marriage bed. Simeon and Levi for the massacre of Shechem and the plot against Joseph. Naphtali is granted the swiftness of a deer, Benjamin the ferociousness of a wolf, and Joseph is blessed with beauty and fertility.
Whoops, 1 second. Right, next one. There's more. Nice.
Hang on.
A large funeral procession it's gone again.
Consisting of Jacob. No, yes, it's gone.
Sorry, it's playing up today.
It is.
Have you got it now? A large funeral procession?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, got it.
Now, yeah.
No, it's gone again.
Oh. Sorry, I don't know what it's doing. Tell me when it comes back.
Yeah, got it. Okay. A large funeral procession consisting of Jacob's descendants, Pharaoh's ministers, the leading citizens of Egypt, and the Egyptian cavalry accompanies Jacob on his final journey to the Holy Land, where he is buried in the Machpelah cave in Hebron. Joseph too dies in Egypt at the age of 110. He too instructs that his bones be taken out of Egypt and buried in the Holy Land. But this would come to pass only with the Israelites' exodus from Egypt many years later. Before his passing, Joseph conveys to the children of Israel the testament from which they will draw their hope and faith in the difficult years to come. God will surely remember you and bring you up out of this land to the land of which he swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Right, thank you. So lots going on. Okay, we're going to have a look at a very curious thing in this week's Edra. I should have pulled up Sunday's Child is Fair of Face, actually. What is it? No, Monday's Child is... Oh, yeah, it's Monday, isn't it?
Monday's Child is fair of face. Tuesday's Child is full of grace. Wednesday's Child is full of woe. Thursday's Child has far to go. Friday's Child is loving and giving. Saturday's Child works hard from a living. But a child that is born on Sunday is blithe and bonny and good and gay.
Right. So, there you go. Wednesday's Child is full of woe. I was born on a Wednesday. I think Ellie was born on a Wednesday as well, actually. So, there's a Talmudic version of this. Today we're going to have a look at something a little bit curious about the good old ayin hara, right? That evil eye. We're not superstitious at all, but we're so careful, right? Yes. Few examples: not calling up two brothers in a row because people get jealous. Not saying how many children you have, right? That's a thing. People not counting your children, things like that. How many children do you have? You say Baruch Hashem, lots and lots, things like that. So we're gonna have a look at the evil eye today and see what we can do to avoid it, basically. So let's see what the Talmud has to say. Who's feeling like reading a long magnum opus?
I'll read it.
Okay, go for it.
Right. It was written in Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi's notebook. One who was born on the first day of the week, Sunday, will be a person, and there will not be one in him. What is the meaning of the phrase, there will not be one in him? That one born on a Sunday is either completely for the best or completely for the worst. What is the reason for this? It is because both light and darkness were created on the first day of creation.
So what the Gemara seems to be saying is it's a bit like the Monday's child, but it's based on the days of creation. So first day of creation, you have light and dark, black and white, right? Extremes, basically. There's no gray areas. So someone born on a Sunday will either be completely good or completely bad. Interesting. Okay, carry on.
One who was born on the second day of the week, Monday, will be a short-tempered person. What is the reason for this? It is because on that day, the second day of creation, the upper and lower waters were divided. Therefore, it is a day of contentiousness.
Right, some of you may remember, why do people get married on Tuesdays?
Because God said it was good twice.
Very good, right? So Tuesday, Vayashem Kitov twice. Monday doesn't say it at all. So there's two explanations why it's not said on Monday, right? I hate Mondays and all that, right? There's two explanations why it's not said on Monday. One is because basically the whole creation of Monday wasn't really complete until Tuesday. So it says it twice on Tuesday. The other reason, which I really like, is because on Monday, he created division, right? He divided, and division is machlokes is not a good thing. So it's contention. So someone born on Monday is going to be a person who is contentious, right? Now, before everyone starts saying, what day were you born on and whatever, it doesn't mean you can't overcome these qualities, but it's an interesting idea. Okay, let's carry on, right? What about Tuesday?
One who was born on the third day of the week will be rich. What is the reason for this? It is because on that day, the third day, vegetation was created, which grows abundantly.
Right? Yeah.
Right. One who was born...
Yes, I think that's self-explanatory, right? That's nice. So on Tuesday, everything sprouted and grew. So Tuesday, you want to be a multimillionaire? Well, depends on your definition of richness, I suppose. Right? Person of my acquaintance, very old friend of ours, has 3 children living in Israel, all leading very, very committed lives, all went through Bnei Akiva. The parents struggle financially, and they used to say to me, you know, watch other people going on cruises and going on holidays, and they've got big houses and they've got second homes, and you know, it's really hard. I said, but you have something that many people can only dream about, which is you have the nachas, and people would give anything for that. So rich is, you know, you might be rich in nachas. Anyway, right, number 4, yes.
One who was born on the fourth day of the week will be wise and an enlightened person. What is the reason for this? It is because the heavenly lights were hung in the heavens on that day, and wisdom is likened to light.
Okay, so I was born on Wednesday. I prefer that to full of woe. There we go. Wise. Okay, right. Thursday.
One who was born on the fifth day of the week will be a person who performs acts of kindness. What is the reason for this? It is because on that day, the fish and the fowl were created, and they do not receive their sustenance by performing work for people. They are sustained by the kindness of Hashem alone.
Okay.
Okay. One who was born on the sixth day of the week will be a seeker. Rabbi Nachum Bar Yitzhak said that this means that he will be one who seeks out mitzvot, as most of the activity on Friday involves preparation on Shabbat.
Right.
One who was born on Shabbat will be called a person of great sanctity because he was born on the sacred day of Shabbat.
Right.
I was born on a Saturday.
Right.
I was born on Shabbat.
My Moshe was born on Shabbos. So I probably should. So it does actually say in the Talmud, I missed it out because I thought it was a bit nasty. Initially, it says one who was born on Shabbat will pass away on Shabbat because they had to break Shabbos for his birth. I decided to miss that bit out because I thought that was a bit macabre. Anyway, that's nice, right? Your person born on Shabbos is particularly holy. Okay, so just to recap, someone born on Sunday, darkness and light will basically be one extreme, right? You find this generally, by the way. After this, there's a discussion about people are born under different planetary signs. It says someone who's born when Mars is the red planet, right? So it symbolizes blood, apparently. So someone who's born when, I don't know how it works, they have different hours of the day when different planets are, you know, stronger. So someone who's born under the influence of Mars, not that we believe in astrology at all, someone who's born under the influence of Mars says will be bloodthirsty. So a bloodthirsty person can go one of two ways. They can either become a murderer or they could become a shochet or a mohel. right? So it's how you channel your energies. It's kind of okay. So someone born on a Sunday will be extreme. They'll either be extremely good or extremely bad, but they'll be extreme. Someone born on a Monday will be a contentious person, because Monday is the day of creation of separation and division. Tuesday is vegetation, so it'll be somebody who enjoys the fruits of their labors. Wednesday, the heavenly lights the stars were hung in the heavens, and that wisdom is like light in the world, so they'll be wise. I won't ask everyone what day you're born on. You can say if you want. A couple of you said you're born on Shabbos. I was born on a Wednesday. Someone who's born on a Thursday will be someone who performs great acts of kindness. Why? Because the fish and fowl were created on Thursday, and they don't have to. They don't have to work for people. That's interesting. They are sustained by the kindness of God alone. We'll come back to that. Someone who's born on a Friday will be a seeker, because we spend Friday basically doing lots of mitzvahs, seeking mitzvahs in order to get ready for Shabbos. Someone born on Shabbos, you could say, would be a peaceful person. But anyway, they'll be a person of great holiness. Okay. So this is what the Talmud discusses. Each day of the week and its special connection to a particular behavior. Thursday, it says that somebody is born on Thursday. Let me just check if I put this in the thing. Sorry, did I put this in the thing? No, I didn't. Okay, never mind. Right. Okay. So someone born on Thursday, it says, we'll see why we're talking about Thursday. We're going to talk about Thursday and fish in a minute. Somebody born on Thursday, fish are supplied by God's kindness. They don't have to work for their food. They just swim around in the sea in blissful ignorance. Apparently, fowl do that as well. Whereas I suppose mammals have to kind of, I don't know, they have to forage and what do they call it, graze and whatever. So I don't know, fish, apparently they get their food on a plate. So that's a sign of kindness. Now, you might say to me, but if you're born on a Thursday, surely it's Thursday, the 5th day of the week, but it's also the 5,000 and something day from creation. So surely the significance of it being Thursday, the 5th day of the week, pales into insignificance compared with it being 6,000 years nearly since creation. So the answer to that is that we say every morning in our davening, Hayom Yom Rishon b'Shabbos. Today is the first day of the week. So we basically, each week, we recreate the act of creation. Hayom Yom Shabbos Kodesh, we say. Today is the Holy Shabbos. And then Sunday, today is the first day of the week. So it's almost like the process gets repeated every year. We have this idea of circles in time. So every year when you have a yahrzeit, it links with all the previous years and all the previous anniversaries. Every year when we celebrate Pesach, that 14th of Nisan, 15th of Nisan links back in time to all the other 15th of Nisans. So if you imagine each year as a circle, so you can have concentric circles, you could draw a line through all the dates that are the same. So even though 350 whatever days have passed, so birthday, for example, each year it's your birthday and you're a year older and it's 350 something days since your last birthday, but it's more than that. It's basically it marks a point in time. Rosh Hashanah, Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, they mark points in time. So Shabbos doesn't just occur every 7 days, but all the Shabboses connect, all the Thursdays connect back in time. One sec, sorry. So you've got this idea that when the Gemara says that someone born on a particular day week has a particular quality, there's basically a line connecting all the Thursdays back to creation, all the Sundays back to creation. So don't look at today is Monday. Don't look at it as the I don't know, who's good at maths. Let's do a quick bit of maths. Who's good at maths here? What is it? 5781 is the year. 5781. That's right, isn't it? No, 5782. Sorry, gosh, 5782. And there's 354 days in a lunar year, roughly. So we've had 205,000 days since creation. So don't look at today as being the 204,613th day since the creation of the world, but rather look at it as the second day of the week. And it has a special quality for that reason. So Thursday has a special quality. There's a person born on Thursday will be a person who performs acts of kindness. Why? Because the fish and fowl were created on Thursday and they sustained by God's kindness. Now, what does that mean? What's going on here? So it says a person born on that day when the emphasis is on kindness will basically perform acts of kindness. Now, just a point generally about all these things. if an expectant mother takes crack or cocaine or drinks alcohol or smokes during pregnancy, that has an effect on the baby, right? Is that fair? No, it's terribly unfair. But it's a reality that the choices that a mother makes have an effect on her baby. Does that mean that baby will never ever have a normal life? Hopefully not. Hopefully that even if they've been disadvantaged in some way medically, they have a hope of, whatever, they can be treated or they can be helped or whatever. But it's definitely going to be a disadvantage if the mother didn't look after her health during pregnancy, particularly if she was involved in some kind of substance abuse, right? So if a child is given no Jewish education, does that mean that child is lost? No, but it definitely makes it harder, right? It's much harder to learn to read Hebrew when you're 75 than when you're 5 years old. It doesn't mean all is lost, right? So if you're born, if we buy into this for the moment, let's say we buy into this. So people born on Monday are argumentative people. People born on Wednesday are smart people. People born on Thursday are very kind people. Does that mean that if you're born on Thursday, you'll automatically be kind? Does it mean if you're born on Monday, you'll automatically be an awkward so-and-so? Not necessarily, but it means that you'll have a tendency to do that, right? There's a source of great discussion about in halacha. It says that for a woman to go to mikveh is a very holy mitzvah that has an impact upon her intimate life with her husband. We encourage brides to go to mikveh. Some continue after marriage, some don't. But it's considered a very, very special mitzvah if you go to mikveh and then basically you conceive a child, and that child was conceived in purity. In other words, that before that child was conceived, the mother had been to mikveh and had followed the laws of the Torah. So we find in the Talmud discussions about basically if the mother went to mikveh or not, the impact that has on the child and their spirituality. So you find in the Talmud that quite often says that somebody's mother didn't go to the mikveh, then they will have be spiritually disadvantaged. Sometimes it says they'll have even possibly bad character traits because their parents didn't observe the laws of purity and so on. So you learn in the Talmud, you think this is rough, this is tough. There's lots of people whose parents didn't keep those laws, whose mothers didn't go to mikveh. Just like there's people who didn't grow up eating kosher or didn't grow up keeping Shabbos. There's people whose mothers didn't go to mikveh. Does that mean they're bad people? Does that mean they're they're unholy people? What's going on here? So Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, very famous rabbi, was once asked this question by somebody to make a shidduch for a son or a daughter. Lovely, lovely person. This shidduch, a really special person with top qualities, but the parents weren't from, so therefore the parents had not kept all the laws and so on. The person hadn't grown up with these things, and their mother hadn't been to the mikveh. And so Reb Moshe Feinstein was asked that we learn in our Talmud that if a person's upbringing is not in line with Torah, and specifically regarding what takes place before their conception and birth, if their mother didn't use the mikveh, then this is like a blemish spiritually. And the answer he gave basically was that whenever we find in the Torah, or in halacha, or in the Talmud, that it says that a certain quality or a certain course of action is disadvantageous, that doesn't mean to say that all is lost. It means that a person who is born or is raised with that particular challenge will find it harder to overcome. But he basically said that if you have a person who comes along who has, really good qualities and is of good character, then that in itself proves that they've overcome whatever challenges they had. So he basically said, in the same way that you might say someone didn't, so my son's met a lovely girl, but she didn't grow up, keeping kosher. So how's she going to keep a kosher home? But you see now that she's been keeping strictly kosher for the last 5 years, and she's actually more kosher than the rest of us because she's so careful with this mitzvah, then you see that she's overcome that challenge. So there may be certain things that are a predictor of sort of challenges or possibly even bad character, yes. So I don't know, it could be if you're born on a Monday, you are an argumentative person. Does that mean if you're born on a Monday, you've had it, that's it, the rest of your life you're going to be fighting people? No. But it means, you might be an argumentative people. I have a friend who's South American, who's originally from Brazil. They say South Americans are very, very hot-blooded. What do they call it? By her own admission, she'll say she's very, she's very feisty, very red-blooded, very very outspoken. Sometimes it's a great quality to have, because she'll speak up for somebody who's the downtrodden, and she'll stand up and be counted, and she'll stand on her principles. Sometimes it means that you don't want to be on the wrong side of her, because she'll yell at you and be very very outspoken. So it's the extremes, like we said, but it can be a positive. All these things can be positive qualities. So being an argumentative person, for example, right, could mean you're an argumentative person, that you have machlokes with people, or how would you channel that positively? Be somebody that has debates with people on matters of principle, matters of Torah. That's how we learn Torah, as we debate and we argue back and forth. Or be someone that challenges the norms, like Avram was, right? We said somebody born on Sunday is going to be an extremist. They're either going to be an extremist for good or an extremist for bad. So all these kind of ideas which we find, it's not an excuse. It's the old nature versus nurture. We find loads of Talmudic teachings that say, if you do this, if you do that, Samson, his parents were given very specific instructions how to raise him. We find a lot of the Hasidic Rebbes from a young age, their parents were told to be particularly careful with what they saw, what they heard, what they experienced. Does that mean that, if a child, we're told that kosher food is very important for a child's spiritual welfare. Does that mean if a child grew up through no fault of their own eating non-kosher food, that, we write them off? No, it doesn't. But it means there's an additional challenge. So, and you can have something, it's not your fault, but unfortunately, it's still a challenge. So it's not your fault necessarily if your parents didn't raise you with, Jewish knowledge. It's not your fault if your mother smoked while she was pregnant with you, but unfortunately, it may still affect you. That's one of the unfair things in the world, that we are all products of our upbringing, but it shouldn't define us. So in the same way that, just because, people sometimes say, if people worry that, if let's say you have somebody who came from a very traditional, stable family and somebody else who came from a very dysfunctional family, and they get married, that they're going to have a difficult marriage because the model that they saw at home is very different. So on the one hand, it'd be ridiculous to say that's not a concern. Of course, it should be a concern. If somebody grew up with abusive parents, their father beat their mother, then to suggest that hasn't had an impact on that child is ridiculous. Of course, they will have assimilated a certain model, but it doesn't mean they're going to be an abuser. And actually, it might be that they go to the opposite extreme and an extremely sensitive person because they don't want to be like their father. So we are products of our environment. We are products of all kinds of factors, yes. And the Talmud tells us we're even products of what day of the week we're born. There's different qualities, but that it's not the be all and end all. It's just something that might give you a particular inclination. Israelis are prickly, right, by their own admission. Does that mean all Israelis have to be prickly? No, but it's something that is ingrained in the character. British people are reserved. Does that mean if you're British, there's no hope for you? You're always going to be too reserved? No, but it's definitely something you might have to overcome. It's a challenge. So the Gemara says the same thing about different days you're born. So the good news is if you're born on Thursday, you're going to be a particularly kind person. Now, let me ask you a question. If the Gemara didn't say any of this, it says a person born on Thursday will do chesed and kindness. Are you supposed to do kindness? Yes, of course you are. It's a mitzvah to be kind to others. Right? We're supposed to emulate God. God is kind. We're supposed to be kind. So we're told that the fundamental characteristics of Jewish people are that we are, the exact phrase is Rachmanim, we are people of mercy. Baishanim, we are bashful people. Goyim Malei Chasadim, we are benevolent people. It even says that if you have some, bless you, if someone emerges in your community and says, claims to be from a Jewish background and is a nasty person, that you should question their yichus. You should say, we're descendants of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They are the epitome of kindness, and of mercy, and you don't seem to have these qualities. I'm not sure that you belong in our family, as it were. So you don't need to be born on a Thursday to talk about fish in order to know that you should cling to God. But nonetheless, it's nice to know that if you're born on a Thursday, by the way, you might have a special quality. Now, what's all this about? What's fish and right? What's I going to do this week, Cedra? Let's look at this week, Cedra. Right. Jacob, of course, blesses his children, right? Vayechi blesses his children. Does he, who remembers the Parsha, does he bless all of his children?
Yes.
Well, let me put it another way. Does he bless them in a four-handed manner or in a slightly backhanded manner?
He twists his hand around and he blesses the second one first.
Oh, that's a specific, right? That's if I'm a Manasseh. So that you're talking literally. I was talking figuratively. You might recall that when the blessing he gives to Shimon and Levi, he says Shimon and Levi, they stole their craft from Esau, the craft of weaponry and war. Right? And he says, I don't want to be part of their plotting. He says that they caused pain and suffering. So his blessing to them is a little bit backhanded. But he blesses his children. What does he bless Joseph with? This is what he says. Who'd like to read number 2?
Joseph is a fruitful son, like a fruitful vine by the fountain, with branches running over the wall. Rashi. The rabbis interpret it to mean that no evil eye should influence his descendants.
Okay. What on earth is that about? What is the evil eye? Right? Oh, another example is breaking a glass at the hub also is supposed to be to prevent the evil eye. Lots of things we do to prevent the evil eye. So, a lot of times when we talk about the evil eye, by the way, the ayin hara, it's often connected to jealousy. The reason for not calling up 2 brothers in succession to the Torah, or father and son, is simply that people will say, look at that family, they get all the honors. Who made them better than us? Right? Now, at a bar mitzvah, what you often do is you call up the grandfather, and then you call up someone else, and then you call up the father, and you call up someone else, you call up the other grandfather, you call up someone else, and then you call up the bar mitzvah boy. So in reality, we give them half the aliyahs as well. So you could say, people also say, oh, they're calling up all that family. It's an idea that you don't do things that basically provoke other people to look at you with a bad eye, look daggers at you, as it were. People traditionally didn't show off their wealth for the same reason. They didn't brag. They didn't do things that would evoke jealousy amongst others. Because when people look at you in an unkind way, it creates a bad sort of vibe. Famous story of it was Baal Shem Tov, that some of his students were sitting around, and one said to the other, "I'll tear your head off like a fish." I guess that's the insults they used in those days. I don't know what you would say nowadays if you wanted to say that. You shouldn't say that, but I'll tear you apart or something. And he got very serious. He asked them all to hold hands, and they saw that in the heavenly realm that this chap was actually, the other person was like a fish, and he was actually ripping him to shreds. And he said, the power of words, you may just say something like, I'm going to kill you or whatever, but your words have an impact. So similarly, when it comes to evoking feelings of jealousy or resentment, it's not good for your kind of, spiritual harmony. It's not good for your karma. It's not good for you, that in the heavens, people should be screaming about you. Look at that guy always showing off his, car and his watch and his whatever. So, it's things like that, not showing off one's wealth or rubbing other people's noses in it, things like that. That's why people often don't brag about success, or people say, bli ayin hara, my son, he passed his driving test, bli ayin hara. I don't want to invoke the ayin hara that he didn't pass his driving test yet, but whatever. Pa pa pa. I don't know where pa 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 comes from, but that's what it was. It was like, Kana hara, right? Kana hara is a corruption. Kana hara means is Yiddish, I think, for ain hara. There shouldn't be any evil eye, right? The joke about the guy that goes to court and the judge says, Mr. Cohen, please state your age for the records. He says, Kana hara pa pa pa, my next birthday I'll be 79. So the judge says, Mr. Cohen, can you just answer the question? He says, Kaina hara pa pa pa. He says, Mr. Cohen, can you just answer the question? And one of the lawyers says, Your Honor, I'm Jewish. Can I have a go? He says, sure. He says, Mr. Cohen. He says, Kaina hara pa pa pa. How old will he be next birthday? He says, 79. He says, thank you. So there's a lot of it about, we do that. I want a number plate, K9ORA, driving around northwest London. So here's an interesting fact. Very interesting fact. Right, let's look at something else first, right? Another thing. So what blessing does Yaakov give to his children? Let's see. This famous thing that many of us say at night. Hamalach HaGoel. Who would like to read that? Hebrew or English? Go on.
The angel who has redeemed me from all harm. Bless the lads. In them may my name be recalled, and the names of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and may they be teeming multitudes like fish upon the earth.
Right. Hamalach HaGoel Eloisi, right? Now, the Yidgu L'Rov B'Kerev HaOretz says that they should be teeming, they should multiply like fish upon the earth. Why like fish? What have fish got to do with the price of tea in China? So let's have a look, see what Rashi says. Who'd like to read that? Pam, do you want to read? I think it's Rashi. You're very faint again. Oh, okay.
Adjust the
Oh, that's better. What did you do? That's better.
I'm right by the screen.
Oh, okay. So just shout.
Right. That's given to fish has a unique feature. As our statement has said, the blessing is found only in something upon evil eye has no dominion.
Interesting.
Covered from view.
So interesting, a very physical idea that basically the evil eye is often connected to jealousy and resentment. You can't be jealous of something you can't see. So in the same way that modesty, this is a reason for modesty as well, that a person might be modest with their wealth. So as a fish is modest, the fish is basically beneath the surface. You don't see fish. So our rabbis tell us that fish are not affected by the evil eye. It has no power over them. So when we talk about an analogy of fish, it's all about something that's basically hidden from view. Something hidden from view can't be cursed. So this is all very metaphorical. So when Yaakov says, the Yigul Aroi B'Kerev Oretz, they should increase like fish, he's saying they should increase without any evil eye or any kind of curse or any kind of bad luck, essentially. So why does he use the word V'yidgu? They should multiply like fish, because fish, you don't see fish, they're beneath the surface, and therefore nobody can basically be jealous of them. So this basically seems to be saying that evil eye is all about jealousy. Right? And jealousy, and if you think that, oh, that's superstitious, that's ridiculous, think how much harm is caused in the world by jealousy and resentment, right? Joseph and his brothers, many families where there's been an inheritance and someone's jealous of somebody else, or a sibling is jealous of their other sibling's success, or people are jealous of other people's success. America's a bit, you talk about extremes. In America, they always do extreme stuff. Unfortunately, you'll hear all the time about, somebody who went to their son's football game and shot one of the other mothers, because she had a bigger cheerleading, I don't know, whatever, ridiculous stuff. Parents are meshugayim. You hear about these things that they're so competitive, they get jealous of the success. It's terrible. Remember the ice skater? What was it? Tonya Harding, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got, all that was about professional jealousy, So jealousy is a terrible thing, right? 10th commandment, don't be jealous of others. So ayin hara, when we talk about ayin hara, yes, it's a very spiritual kind of, superstitious kind of a Jewish thing, but a lot of it stems from jealousy. So fish, basically, you don't see fish. If anyone's ever been fishing, until you throw your hook in the water, you don't usually see the fish. You just see the surface of the water. You throw the hook in, suddenly the fish start thrashing around. So our sages tell us this is, when we use the fish metaphor, that's the metaphor. Fish are hidden under the water, therefore no one can basically cast an evil eye over them. So Jacob's blessing to his children is the same thing, that they should multiply like fish. So at the same time, they should multiply upon the earth. They shouldn't have any harm or any evil eye. And then we said previously with Joseph, it says he should be fruitful. Again, fruitful and multiply. And Rashi says that why does he need a blessing to be fruitful? because I guess, again, it's the idea that when you're fruitful, which could mean in terms of children or in terms of, material success, there's always the risk, right? Here, a fruitful vine with branches running over the wall. People can be jealous of that. So the blessing is that you shouldn't be subject to people's evil eye and curse. So it's an interesting idea. And if you say we don't believe in it, we do. We're obsessed with it all the time. It's a big thing. Should we be more rational, less superstitious? God is in control. Hashem, everything's in Hashem's hands. Well, the answer is yes. But at the same time, we know that there's a lot of power in words and deeds. When a person, so for example, a person that does show off, when a person evokes jealousy of others, that's also not good. It brings to mind the whole debate about, you're not allowed to say that a girl shouldn't walk down the street in skimpy clothing because she's, asking for unwanted attention, because, it's women's rights to wear what they want. If you have a daughter, leaving aside any kind of, traditional sneert, but presumably anyone with a daughter is probably, or a son for that matter these days, but a daughter is going to say to them, if you go out dressed like that, you're going to get attention from unpleasant people. Oh, it's my freedom. It's my body. It's not my problem. Okay, but it becomes your problem if you get the attention. Should I be able to walk down the street in, I don't know, wherever, with my, wearing a Rolex or holding my iPhone? Should I be allowed to take out my, expensive phone? And should I be able to walk down the street in the inner city with jewelry and with a fancy watch and a fancy bag and a fancy phone? Yes, I should. Is it a smart thing to do? No, it's not, because you probably get mugged. Is that right? No, it's not right. Is it fair? No, it's not. But it's pragmatic that people get jealous of others. So best thing is put all your valuables away. I mean, it gets to it's like absurdity. When we lived in New York, even, there was a period of time when women didn't wear their jewelry down the street because there'd been a lot of muggings and snatchings. What kind of a world is that, where you can't wear your wedding ring even because someone might pinch it off you? People unfortunately, very sad. It's very, very sad, but it's a reality. So we see it in spiritual terms as well, that, we don't want others to be envious and therefore cast kind of, evil eye. The idea of looking daggers at somebody, we say in English, they were glaring daggers at me, does it hurt you? Well, it's a piercing glance. We actually use it a lot in English to refer to, you look at someone, you glare at them, a piercing glance, what other phrases do you use? Yeah, like looking daggers at somebody, so it's, one should, and we know also Pirkei Avos says you should look at a person with a good eye, not with a bad eye, right? But it's very easy to do. How often do we say, we're jealous of someone or we're envious of them rather than being happy for them? So this is part of the bracha. Why is the fishy theme? Because fish beneath the surface, and something's beneath the surface, no one can sort of point at it and get jealous and cast an evil eye over it. Okay, interesting idea. So, question, should we be successful? Joseph, by the way, if anyone wants to evoke jealousy, it's Joseph. Goodness me. He's walking around in a fancy coat, right? We're told he was preening himself in the mirror. It's no coincidence that Potiphar's wife, got interested in him, because he was a what they used to call it, can't think of the word now. Not a lady boy. Lady boy, is that the word they used to call it?
No, Rabbi.
Not a lady boy. No, what's the word?
A ladies' man. A ladies'
No, but there's another word for it. I can't think. Yeah, not lady boy. Ladies' man. Yeah, whatever. There's another word. I can't think of it right now. But he was probably a bit effeminate actually. But he was always worried about his appearance and so on. That's probably why she fell for him. So he's probably a bad example. In fact, we know that his brothers were jealous of him, right? So he probably definitely needed this bracha. So what are we supposed to make of all of this? So interesting. If you're born on Thursday, you'll be especially kind. And there's a connection to fish. What's the connection to fish? That fish enjoy the kindness of God, and also fish don't suffer from evil eye. So be like a fish. There you go. Biggest bracha you can have is to be fishy. Okay, very nice, I think. So what should we do? Should we live in fear of this evil eye that's going to get us and, bore into our soul? Like, what's going on? So there's another piece of Talmud. Let's see what it says. Because the good news is that no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't live in fear of the evil eye, and this is why not. Who'd like to read number 5? Who hasn't read yet?
I haven't.
Go for it. Oh, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Can I just warn you, it's 4 pages long. So, okay. Yes.
Okay. So Sage just asked, Rabbi Yochanan, Master, do you not fear the evil eye? He answered, I am a descendant of Joseph, over whom the evil eye has no dominion. As it is written, Joseph is a fruitful son, like a fruitful vine by the fountain, with branches running over the wall. Alei ayin. Ayin can mean both spring and eye. And Rabbi Abahu said in a homiletic interpretation, do not read it Alei ayin, rather Ole ayin, above the eye. They transcend the influence of the evil eye.
Okay, so it says ale ayin, which is taken to mean branches running over a wall or a spring, but you could also read that as he basically transcends the eye. In other words, he's not hit by this evil eye, okay?
Rabbi Yosef, son of Rabbi Hanina, cited proof from Jacob's blessing of Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. The angel who redeems me from all evil shall bless the young, and in them may my name be recalled, and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and may they multiply, Vayechi, in the midst of the earth. Vayechi can mean multiply, and it can also mean fish. Just as the fish in the sea, water covers them, and the evil eye has no dominion over them, so too the seed of Joseph, the evil eye has no dominion over them.
Right, and although this is talking about Joseph, we of course bless our children in the name of Ephraim and Manasseh. So this is an interesting idea. He says that Jacob's blessing to Joseph is what we just said basically. That just like fish have no evil eye, you shouldn't be subject to the evil eye. And Joseph needed this bracha because his brothers have been jealous of him in the past. Oh no, sorry, it's 2 pages. Okay, so what do we make of all of this? Should we or should we not live in fear of superstition? So interestingly, I didn't put this, but the Gemara says in Psachim that, do you know who is most susceptible to the evil eye?
Children.
No, the person who believes in it. It's very simple. Self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe in the eye and horror, it will happen to you. If you think it's all hogwash, then if you say hogwash, it's not kosher, then it won't happen to you. I once had a bad dream when I was in yeshiva, quite a scary dream. I don't remember the details involved. Something horrible happening to my parents or something. I asked my Rosh Shiva what to do. He said, forget about it, put it out of your mind. The more, what's the word? Metzias, I think is the word. The more substance you give it, the more it takes over your life, right? It's like any anxiety, any phobia, right? Try to put it out of your mind. Easier said than done. So basically, if you believe in the evil eye, it will happen to you. If you think everyone around you is jealous of your success and is glaring at you and just waiting to pounce on you and celebrate your failure, then that's probably how your life is going to go. If you live your life in blissful ignorance and you don't believe in all this stuff, because God ultimately blessed Yaakov, blessed Joseph, and all descendants of Ephraim, Manasseh, then it won't worry you. So there we go. So maybe we shouldn't do all this papa and Cana horror because it just makes us all superstitious.
Rabbi,
yes.
Rabbi, can I just ask, what about like the red cotton that people, because that's a symbol of the evil eye.
Yes.
And also, like when you have, I always remember when I had my children, my mum of a sholem used to say, "Oh, you've got to put a piece of red ribbon and a kamaya pinned to their vest or near them to
ward off the evil eye."
Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know where the red string comes from, actually. I thought it comes from Rachav and the scarlet thread. That they used the spies to, we learned this in Joshua in our shir, which we haven't done for a couple of weeks. But I don't actually recall where it comes from. Believe it, I should know.
I did read about Adam's first wife, Leah.
Yes. Oh, Lilith. She's a horrible lady. Yes.
Wanted to steal the babies. So
the feminists like her though.
Yeah.
1 second. I'm just looking it up. Let's see.
Leah.
Wasn't it Lilith or something?
Lilith.
Lilith. Yes, Lilith. Trying to see where it comes from. 1 second. Where does it come from? Interesting. It seems like basically everyone saw someone else doing it. Wow, some people say you shouldn't do it at all. It's basically a non-Jewish thing.
That
Seem,
draft.
they claim that they've wrapped it around Rachel's tomb before they sell it. Not sure. Let's have to do some research on that. Not sure. But basically, don't worry about the evil eye and it won't happen. Now, that doesn't mean, by the way, that you should flaunt your wealth and success, but you shouldn't use it as a reason to basically impede your life. So interesting, we've got two blessings. Adam and Eve are given the blessing of being fruitful and multiplying, right? But you have this fishy blessing that's given V'yidgu in Hamalach Hagal that Yaakov gives, which is slightly more subtle. He says V'yidgu l'rov, not just be fruitful and multiply, but you should multiply all over the earth, like fish. I like fish. Fish are not subject to the evil eye. So basically, it's a bracha that you shouldn't have the evil eye. Now, not sure I'm going to have time to do the last source, actually, Freya. Might have to just stop there. We're running low on time. So, I was going to get onto a different point, but I don't think we have time to do that. Okay, no, we'll leave that for now. So this, you could say, wait a minute. According to the commentaries, Yaakov gives this bracha to Yosef that he should avert evil eye. So don't tell me it doesn't. You know, I once saw a story that there was a kid that was scared of monsters. So the father came up with a brilliant idea. He got an air freshener and he covered it with a piece of paper. He wrote monster spray on it, monster repellent. And the kid said, I'm scared of the monsters under the bed. He said, don't worry, I'm going to spray this. It will get rid of them. And he sprayed it under the bed. And the kid starts crying even more. He says, now what's wrong? He says, well, Daddy, if they make a spray for them, that means they must exist. Right? So you have to think what you're doing as a parent sometimes, right? So how can, it's easy to say, don't believe in the evil eye and then it won't have any effect on you. But the fact is, there clearly is some kind of, concept out there of it, because Yaakov had to say to Yosef that I give you a bracha that you shouldn't be affected by the evil eye. The bottom line is that we should know that we're all basically descendants of Yosef, Ephraim and Manasseh. We bless our children in the name of Ephraim and Manasseh. The same way that Yaakov gave this bracha to them. The Yidgu l'rov b'kerev ha'oretz, not just that they should go forth and multiply all over the world and be successful, both in terms of offspring and in terms of material success and spiritual success, but the Yidgu like fish in the same way that nobody sees fish and therefore nobody curses or is jealous of fish. So he says should be a bracha also to you. So what I can't answer for you is why people still worry about the evil eye. Because according to this, you don't have to. Talmud says the same thing. We're all descendants of Yosef. We don't have to worry about the evil eye. So I can't answer that one for you. We're not all descendants of Yosef. We're spiritually speaking. Ephraim and Manasseh, we bless our children. So I can't answer you why people do worry about the evil eye. It seems there's a strong argument we shouldn't, basically. But there we go. Anyway, it's a bit inconclusive there. Sorry, I had one or two more sources, which is a completely different point, but I don't think we're going to have time to do it. So there we go. A little bit of a slightly different share this week. The Jewish version of Monday's child, and I'll leave you to figure out which day you were born on and what qualities that gives to you. But I want to reiterate the point that we have lots of. Actually, it's all the same point. If people are envious of your success, whether that's material or your children or your grandchildren, or does that create something negative? Yes. According to the Talmud, if you're born on certain days of the week, does that create certain characteristics? Apparently so. If you grow up in a certain environment, does that create certain challenges or advantages? Yes, it does. But we do not believe in Judaism. We learned last week about forgiveness, right? And teshuvah. So we do not believe in Judaism that you are purely a product of your environment. Of course you are. We're all products of our environment. But that doesn't limit us. That's not the only thing. And perhaps it's the same point all round. How you avoid the evil eye is the same way that you basically carve out your own sort of destiny, which is that you say, I'm not going to be affected by what other people say. I'm not going to be affected by other people's envy. Yes, I won't go show off. I don't want to evoke jealousy on people's parts. I'm not going to live in fear that someone's going to give me an ayin hara. Oh no, an ayin hara, I'm going to be cursed. No, I'm not going to live in that fear. And also not going to live in the shadow of my, my childhood or my previous life. If I want to do something in life, I'll do something in life. If I want to learn to read Hebrew at age 99, I'll do it. Avram had a bris at 99. It's never too late. So maybe the message in all these things is that we tend to get too constrained, either by what other people think of us, or how other people look at us, or how other people react to us or feel about us, or how we feel about ourselves. Oh, I've never done this before. I didn't grow up with this. This is new to me. it's alien to me. Give it a chance. Don't be so, whatever you call it. Anyway, there's some thoughts. It's 11 o'clock. I know people have to go. I also have to go. So thank you all for joining us. Nice to have a good crowd this week. And I'm afraid I'm not here next week. We're at a family wedding. We're going to be away. So no share next week, but 2 weeks time, hopefully.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Oh, wait, 2 weeks time is Boxing Day, saying no?
Boxing Day.
Bank holiday. Okay, I'm happy to have a share on bank holiday. It doesn't bother me.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm okay.
The 27th, holiday Monday. You'll be doing all your.
Sorry, I've got to go. Thank you, Rabbi.
All right. Well, we'll be here in 2 weeks, whoever wants. Okay.
Thank you
Have
very
a good
much.
week, everyone.
Yeah, Andrew.
Okay.
Keep well.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.